ends the Cypher. Prepare for another all-nighter.
On the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
That was Josh, Jesus, Allah, Ja McCown right there. The greatest thing since sliced bread.
Look.
That was him, along with Brandon Marshall and Martellus Bennett before that. And the highlights were courtesy of CBS Sports. But yeah, all praises due to Josh McCown.
Look, give him respect. Like I said, and I tweet this during the game. Josh McCown is the best backup quarterback in the NFL, bottom line. And the Bears should be darn lucky they have him, because without him, a situation that's already flirting with being in dire straits is at least marginalized to a degree, because he's able to execute offensively. That's important. So, no, he's not Jay Cutler. First of all, let's get people right on this. Stop saying Josh McCown should be the starter.
They're not.
Because that's ridiculous. And obviously, people who say that makes me think they know nothing about football.
No, what makes me think that, 773-591-1690 is the number here. The Sports Cypher, the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Give us your call, your Bears thoughts. You probably love that Josh McCown is out here looking like Jesus walking on water.
Stop.
But I'm thinking that a lot of people are saying this, and they're also saying that Jay Cutler's played horrible. When if you look at the stats, statistically, he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the league this year. And every year he's been here, his numbers have gotten better. From the 26 interceptions that he had in 2009, they've dropped dramatically every year. So I guess we don't know what we're talking about.
People just have short-term memories. I don't think they... Here's the thing, though. No, that's not it. People don't follow stats. People who watch stats and also connect that to performance actually during the game and overall mental focus and things like that, I think they get this. People who just make those kind of random comments are...
morons.
They're fanatics. They're fans. The concept of winning is what matters to them. And when one piece doesn't quite function the way they think it should, it needs to be get rid of. Because remember, last week it was, Mark Trestman, you're out awful. Why did you do that? Fire him. Get rid of him. He's just from the CFL. Okay, this man is steeped in NFL experience, like good NFL experience.
People would rather have a game manager than a quarterback that's capable of winning you the game. Cutler can win. Cutler has won them games.
And I mean, I'll give Josh McCown credit. He can win a game. He can, especially when things are done right. But he doesn't have the skill sets that Jay Cutler has. He really does not. But he is a good quarterback. Obviously, let's put it this way. Josh McCown's been with 5 teams. So what that means is, obviously, he doesn't have enough talent to be a starter. But clearly he has skill sets that people respect, and having seasons like this with the Bears are a big deal for him. You never know. Somebody might entertain the thought if he gives enough good performances. Because if you look around the league and you look at teams that have had to use their backup quarterbacks and how god-awful they've been, Josh McCown, compared to those other performances, looks pretty darn good. Something
else that McCown got today that Cutler didn't get last week, but when Cutler wins, this is something he also gets, is he gets the Bears scoring off of their defense. Mm-hmm. He also gets the defense creating turnovers. He also gets a good running game from Matt Forte. While he wasn't dominant, he was good enough to bring some balance to the offense, which was something that definitely didn't happen last week, where everybody was saying Cutler was the reason they lost. I don't
But understand. Cutler has a love-hate relationship with Bear fans.
I think it's hate. I don't see too many people that really love him. I mean, I don't love him in the sense of, loving the way he plays. I just think a lot of folks look to him as the reason that everything goes wrong with the team, when he really has nothing to do with a lot of the stuff that goes wrong with the team. The Bears couldn't stop the run for Jack today, but everybody was quick to say, well, they played a lot better defensively and this and that. Ray Rice got half of his season total of rushing yards in one game today.
What's crazy is coming into this game, Ray Rice only had total for the season 289 yards.
What, he wound up with 120-something?
Something like that. I'm like, but here's the thing. We all know that defensively, this is a team that is reeling on its heels. And week to week, it's trying to stay healthy. So we know that the players on the field are not the starters, and they're having to find different ways to get things done. It is good that Julius Peppers, there was a sighting today.
2 sacks. One of them was a phantom sack.
Right, he was spotted in Soldier Field today, twice. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's important. I mean, if you could get that more consistently, that would be good. Understand this, and let me be honest, and I'm just not saying this to take away the win and not let Bear fans bask in the glory, but if it's good weather, and that field, which I was scared somebody was going to get hurt, by the way, because that field is god-awful, but we know that. Mm-hmm. If it had not been for bad weather and Flacco was given the opportunity to really throw the ball down the field, this might have been an entirely different game.
I'm glad you brought him up. Before I get to what I was going to say about Flacco, something else that you hear a lot of people say about Cutler. Well, he's got this whole Brett Favre thing. Like, people compare him to Brett Favre like Brett Favre is garbage. While Brett Favre was annoying with all of the comeback stuff at the end of his career, Brett Favre is one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the history of ever.
His name will come up frequently. And when
in the history of ever.
You're right. And when Jay Cutler has faded into the sunset, so will people talking about him. People are going to talk about Brett Favre forever. You're right about that. And yeah, but that's just that. Once again, these are people who are just watching the game week to week. They grab a beer and they're having a good time. They really don't know that much about the game. Sometimes I wonder how much people understand it with offensive schemes and things like that, because the things that people tweet and put on Facebook makes me scratch my head frequently.
Also, you mentioned Joe Flacco. I wonder who. I think I know who you rather have, but I wonder who people would honestly rather have now. If you had to pick between Joe Flacco and Jay Cutler, looking at what you saw today, looking at what you saw overall, while Flacco had the hot run in the postseason last year, if you look at his overall regular season career, Cutler crushes him numbers-wise.
Actually, believe it or not, I like Jay Cutler, and I do think he's a talent. Need for him to stay healthy. Remember, and I say this week in and week out, and I need for people to put this in perspective when you talk about the development curve. Yes, this is Jay Cutler's second team. He's had 7 different offensive systems that he's had to work through in what is relatively a young career. That's a lot of adjustments to make, which means you don't exactly grow and blossom when offensive schemes you're getting are changing frequently. So once again, he's in a new scheme. I still felt this would be the season that you would see a lot more from him, because Trestman is known to be good with quarterbacks. And I honestly think the reason that Josh McCown is having the kind of success he is having is because Trestman knows how to work with quarterbacks and work to their strengths. It's crazy when you look at the stats for the game to see that McCown went 19 for 31 and Flacco went 17 for 31. Now here you've got a seasoned starter who got a big payday after last season's Super Bowl, and a guy who's been a backup QB for 5 years and doesn't get regular snaps every single week. But yet he was able to go tit for tat when it was necessary.
But people think McCown is Rich Gannon because Trestman has him.
He's not.
So he's Rich Gannon all of a sudden.
He's not. He's not Rich Gannon. But here's the thing: he's going to work to whoever is standing back their skill sets. He's not going to have you doing things that you don't need to do. But let's be honest: when you talk about the offensive complexion of this Bears team, it's the first time they haven't had acne in 10 years.
Acne.
I'm just saying. Look at the talent on offense. From Martellus Bennett, who's like a monster. He's like, what is he, like 6'6", 2 something? He's like mammoth. Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffries is really starting to blossom. He is. He's finding his way. The only thing I'm not real happy with, and I know people won't like to hear me say this, I'm still not enchanted with the running game. It's still missing something from me.
It helped the quarterback today, and that's really all I've been saying about with Cutler. When Cutler didn't have running game last week, and when they don't have the run, just help the quarterback. You don't have to get 125 yards. You don't have to be Adrian Peterson. Nobody's asking Matt Forte, whoever they stick back there to do that. Just balance it a little bit. 773-591-1690, taking your Bears calls. Lamar, what's going on?
Oh, hey. Good evening, guys. Just wanted to make a couple of comments about the Bears game. Number one, I was impressed. Well, number one, I agree with the lady who was talking. I guess her name is Maya. I agree with her general statement in saying that Jay Cutler is a very better overall quarterback than Josh McCown. That's a no-duh question. I mean, any GM will take Jay Cutler. I mean, but I kind of look at this like the Alex Smith and the Kaepernick situation. Hey, you roll with who's winning. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that, Jay Cutler, but one of the things I was displeased to see Jay Cutler. I didn't see his off the field coaching. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't see Jay Cutler grab clipboards with just like, Josh McCown. And we all know about Jay, kind of his attitude. We all know about that. I'm just saying though, bro, if you're talking about being in that upper echelon, those are great quarterbacks do. They communicate. They go to sideline to sideline. And you don't see that about Jay Cutler. And you wonder why, bro. You're paid like a top tier quarterback. You know what I mean? And and that's just it. But and then basically, I was very, very impressed to see that the secondary tried to make improvements. But I still think that Chris Conte should be benched. He's not a guy. In order to be a safety, you have to have intuitive skills. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to just make plays, and he does not have that. Chris Conte actually almost blew us the game. If you really think about it. So, that's it, you know what I mean? And I enjoyed the game, so you guys take care.
Thanks, Lamar.
No problem, Mark. Thanks a
Actually,
lot.
okay, I'm going to have to defend Cutler on this. Actually, he was doing some soundbite coaching with McCown. Matter of fact, Phil Simms, who I've come to think that today I don't care for very much.
He is so stupid. I'm trying to think who's worse, him or Troy Aikman.
I've been trying to be like even keel with Phil Simms, but today he took me there. He really did. And I'm like, I think next time he's actually commentating the game, I'm muted. And turn the radio or something on.
Turn on Joniak.
Because seriously, I'm now irritated with him.
Yeah.
But he made that comment like, wow, Mark Trestman isn't talking to McCown. It was like towards the end of the fourth. He's like, Jay Cutler's over there talking. So actually, that's not true. Cutler actually does talk with McCown. When the camera actually pans over, which it doesn't, unless Jay Cutler's doing something inappropriate, they're really not following him that much on the sideline with him not being a starter. There were several shots with him and McCown were sitting down together and talking. So actually, that's not true. He did interact with him. He absolutely did.
Speaking of Phil Simms, do you think that the Bears should have used their timeouts right at the end of regulation when Baltimore was driving to score and they wound up tying the game? Do you think they should use? I personally feel like no. I think that Trestman actually wound up doing the right thing there because he kind of was relying on his defense and why they had been shaky. If you decide to use up all your timeouts and then Baltimore gets like to the one and decides that they're going to let the clock run out and probably take it in for a touchdown, then you're done. At least try to stop them. Don't concede that Baltimore is going to score. When you go calling timeout crazy like that, you're conceding that the Ravens are going to get a touchdown. You're like, all right, forget it. We might as well try to save as much time as we can because we know we can't stop them from getting in the end zone. And they wound up keeping them out of the end zone, holding them to a field goal, and wound up winning the game. That's how I see it, but a lot of people don't see it that way.
It could have gone either way. I mean, luckily it didn't work against him, so it is what it is. My biggest gripe today was Zach Bowman. Matter of fact, in the fourth quarter, he's quite the reason that Baltimore got back in the game with a personal foul penalty, gave him 15 yards and got them right back in the mix. I mean, I know the defense leaves something to be desired, but understand, these are bench players starting the game. So there is nobody to bench Conti for. They're into their depth right now. He's going to have to play. And he actually had a play where he did okay. Granted, he's never going to be the starter. But this year, he's going to be on the field because they're just not healthy defensively. So take those hopes and just, matter of fact, let me just say this to Bears fans, and you can all get mad and call in 773-591-1690. Here's the bottom line. The Bears, if they're lucky, mainly because of injuries, might make the playoffs. Now, if they were a healthy team defensively, I thought they would go 11-5, but these injuries are just, and especially defensively, are just too depleting at this point. Offensively, they could maybe keep things clicking with or without a healthy Jay Cutler. But the bottom line is that defensively, they're giving up too much. 13 penalties for 111 yards today. You can't give Flacco opportunities like that. So understand this. If they make the playoffs, they're not going deep, and take 2 words out of your vocabulary: Super Bowl.
They'll probably wind up in Seattle getting destroyed.
Because I'm just telling you,
if they do get into the playoffs.
It's not happening. They'll probably go the first round and it'll be done because they just have too many injuries to play teams that are healthy and doing well. It's just not going to happen. I think people need to have a come to Jesus moment. They need to have it. It's just too much has happened with this team as it stands. Enjoy it week to week. Get your beer in, your nachos, and just know that this isn't going deep. It's not going to happen in February.
Brian on the south side wants to talk about Jay Cutler. What's going on, Brian?
Yeah, good evening, guys. I want to go call in, but I heard the lady talking, and I said I had to call in and mention 2 things that I disagree with her. First of all, you just mentioned about the Bears' injury in the defense. They're not going far in the playoffs if they happen to make it. If you've been watching the NFL, period, it's like looking at an Xbox. Nobody really playing defense anymore. You're seeing the team scoring an average of 30 points or more every week on a common level anyway. As far as Jay Cutler, you can put a Superman tag. What did you compare him to Drew Brees and Tom Brady now? I've been hearing how great Cutler is and how long he can throw. He's been here 5 years. Tell me, what have he won? Hello?
No, we're actually being nice enough to let you talk. I don't want to cut you off. I want you to let you finish all your points.
I think what happened with him, he had that great year, getting rid of Bears, bid on it. He's like a rock star with no hit song. He got all this talent. He either gets hurt like he got hurt in the NFC Championship game. Remember, we were 7-1. He got hurt. He got hurt this year. The problem is with him, he holds the ball too long, and he's too erratic. He's not consistent. He might have a great game one week, and the next game he's throwing interceptions all over the place. You almost remind me of Rex Grossman. But guess what? Rex Grossman did.
Wow,
Now
Brian.
you didn't.
Oh,
You
my-
didn't. I'm sorry. What's his name? What's his name?
Brian.
Brian, you didn't walked off the deep end.
No, but you know he did get us to a Super Bowl one year, didn't he? Didn't he?
You know how they got to that Super Bowl?
The problem
You know how they
was
got to that Super Bowl?
having sex,
Defense.
success, he's not throwing. He can't throw 80 yards downfield, but he can get rid of the ball.
You said
quick.
80 yards?
Move
Who's
around.
throwing 80 yards downfield? Tell me somebody who does that week to week. 80 yards.
What you was making it sound like Cutler.
No,
got
but
these
you made it
shots
sound like that's a
for
standard in the
5
NFL.
years. What have he won in 5 years?
So you're going to put this all on Cutler and say it's his fault they haven't won anything in
Oh,
5
I'm asking
years?
you a question. What has Cutler won in 5 years?
Well, let's put it this way. Cutler has not had an offensive line the duration of the time he's been in.
Oh, for 5 years, there's always somebody else.
No.
For 5 years,
Losing is
offensive.
Brian. Losing is a collective effort. Let's put this in perspective. One man doesn't win a game in the NFL. It's a
I
collective
understand
effort.
that, but you say you got a mediocre bench coach.
Hey,
I mean,
you over
got
there.
a
You.
mediocre
Hey, you.
quarterback that
Hey,
came
you.
off this bench.
Brian,
And now he
time
looks
out.
like-
Time out. I let you talk, so now I'm going to respond to what you said. I let you talk, and I didn't interrupt you. So now I'm going to say something, and you're going to listen. Here's how this works. The NFL is a collective sport where not one person wins a game. So Jay Cutler has not had an offensive line the entire time he's been in Chicago. What was it, 2 years ago? He had
that's not
50.
true.
What?
Well, that's technically not true because they have one this year.
No. I'm saying it's the
I'm
first.
taking Brian's side, damn it.
It's the first time that he's been here that they have an offensive line. And let's be honest, we
no,
weren't
that's
quite
not-
sure. You're talking.
When he got knocked
You're
out the
talking.
NFC
Do I have to mute
Championship,
you? Do I have to mute you?
I'm listening to your.
No, you're not listening. You're talking.
Hold on, Brian. Hold on, man.
See, you're still talking, which means you're not listening. Talking, listening. You know the difference between the two?
Let's take
Okay.
a break. We'll be back. We're taking your calls, 773-591-1690.